Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, November 20th. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Well, the last of 3 men charged in connection with kidnapping and killing a beloved community activist was sentenced today. Ivan Newman will spend 35 years behind bars. He pled guilty to murdering Lenny Harris. Back in 2011, Newman, along with Tyrone Lewis and Linwood Johnson, lured Harris into a car and drove him to an abandoned home to rob him. Harris's body was found in a well in Fort Washington 3 months later. A spokesman with the state's attorney's office reacted to today's sentencing.
I think it's great that we've got everybody who was involved in this horrific crime, and we have them all behind bars, and they'll be serving the punishment for their actions. Because anytime you kill anyone, it's a tragic crime, and you need to be punished. And certainly in this case, I think we saw it throughout the trial. Not only Lenny Harris's wife, but his brother and other siblings, and so many family members who packed the courtroom, and everyone had stories at Tyrone Lewis's sentencing hearing about Lenny Harris and the kind of man he was and the people who he helped and positively impacted during his life. So we're certainly very pleased to be able to put these guys behind bars and bring the family not only some justice, but hopefully some closure that allows them to move on.
Johnson received the same sentence that Newman will be serving. Meanwhile, Lewis, the shooter, has been sentenced to life in prison without parole.
A Bowie man who has faced multiple counts of child abuse has been sentenced in his second trial. 52-year-old Michael Brochu will spend 40 years behind bars for molesting a Bowie boy. The victim, who was Brochu's neighbor, said he was taken advantage of in several locations, including the assailant's home. Earlier this year, Brochu was sentenced to 41 years in prison for abusing another boy from the neighborhood. He now faces a third trial on similar charges next March. A teenager is killed after being struck by a train in Laurel last night. The male victim's body was found by a passerby along the CSX tracks near the 800 block of Lafayette Street. That was about 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday. The victim has not yet been identified, but officials tell us he is a 19-year-old Laurel resident.
Laurel Police Department detectives, along with CSX Police and Maryland Transportation Authority, responded and jointly investigated. But through the investigation, it was learned that two teenagers had seen a person matching that description in the area shortly before that time. Also, through the investigation, it was determined that there was a report from the conductor of one of the trains that had passed through the area just before 7:30, reporting some suspicious activity or a person running along the tracks in that vicinity. It was concluded that the northbound train had struck this victim. Right now we're in the process of making notifications next of kin. They do have signs up that say no trespassing. They're in several languages. But again, this is an area that is frequently used as a cut-through area because the other
Rail traffic in that area was closed in both directions for several hours as authorities investigated the incident.
The victim of a porta potty fire in College Park Tuesday morning has died. Emergency crews were called to Sunnyside Neighborhood Park on Rhode Island Avenue around 7 a.m. yesterday for a brush fire. A Maryland State trooper happened to be near the scene and saw the porta potty engulfed in flames with a man inside. He used a portable extinguisher from his cruiser to knock down the blaze and rescue the victim. Officials say the man, who suffered severe burns on more than half of his body, died at the hospital. The victim's body has been sent to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. The investigation is ongoing, but fire officials have not ruled out that it might have been an attempted suicide. The Prince George's County Council defers a vote on the minimum wage bill. The council heard from dozens of small business owners who signed up to speak yesterday at the annual end of meeting session. The majority who spoke were opposed to raising the wage to $11.50 an hour by 2016. The council is expected to reconvene in a special session on November 30th to vote on that bill.